Hey, everybody. I'm here with Dr. Angela Hooks, my friend, fellow spiritual director. We graduated from Oasis Spiritual Direction School together and have kept in contact. And ever since I've known you, Angela, diary has been a word I've seen come up in your newsletters quite often. Journaling has been another word that's come up quite often. I know that this is something that's been important for your spiritual practice. And I know that the practice of diary, the practice of journaling, the practice of praying with the pencil has been something that you've taught and continue to teach and lead, small groups uh, through a diary scribblers, I believe. So anyway, I'm so glad to have this conversation with you, and we'll just kick it off. Anything else you want to say, or just jump into journaling?
Thank you, Matthew, for the invitation. Thank you for being my friend. Um, you can graduate from a space and never keep in contact.
Mhm, mhm,
So I appreciate our contact, our being spiritual directors for each other, right?
mhm,
In the ministry and the business of spiritual direction, I think that's pretty cool. Um,
mhm,
I love how you say like I'm attached to the diary and journaling, right? Because they say that thing that you're so most passionate about always just follows you around.
mhm.
And so I have been keeping a diary for 4 decades, right? So let's just say I am both a practitioner
Mhm,
and a scholar of the diary.
mhm,
Now, I want to be clear. When diary is said, it sounds feminine because in a sense it is the feminine is the diary and the journal is the masculine. That's
mhm.
kind of how it all came about. I'm not going to go into that because I believe that whether we call it a diary, a journal, or a notebook, it's a place where it is the act of writing.
Mhm.
It's all about the act of writing, no matter what we do, whether it's diary, journal, or notebook. So I would say this caveat in my former years of teaching in the college, I would have an ongoing notebook, diary, journal, notebook project for the students, right? It was like an easy A. All they had to do was journal every single day, like for the whole semester, right? A, if you just, even if you just wrote a word, didn't really matter.
Mhm.
Um, and you could do whatever you wanted, however you wanted. And the guys would say, oh my God, diary is so that's why I would say
Ah,
diary, journal, and
yeah,
notebook,
interesting.
right? Because it makes a difference. And in reality, the diary, even the pillow diaries in Japan, 14th century, 4th century, is women. It's
Mhm,
women keep that. But over here in the West, the journals, Samuel Pepys, right? Like it, so you see how that thing is a
yeah,
difference.
yeah,
That's why I say, but the act of it,
that's right.
it's really the act of it and what happens when we put our pen to paper and we write.
Mhm, mhm,
Henry Nouwen says, you never know what your heart carries until
mhm.
you begin the process of writing. I'm paraphrasing. He doesn't say it exactly
That's
like that,
beautiful.
but it's kind of how it works.
Mm. You never know what your heart carries until you begin the process of writing. Yeah. If that's not his exact words, the way you said them are just
Okay,
perfect.
perfect.
As you're talking, Angela, it's reminding me I have a little bit of catching up to do with you because I've been keeping a journal diary pretty consistently, probably for 25 years.
Nice.
And I was in the heart of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park a couple weeks ago,
Mm.
and had a campsite sitting by the river. And I opened up my diary to January 26th, and for the next 2 days, I flipped through January, February, March, April, May, June, slowly noticing what I had highlighted, noticing the threads that connected the months, noticing the prayers in there, noticing any loose ends that
Mhm.
I had left, any obstacles, any struggles that I had faced, and then seeing them from a different perspective now in July. And so a few chuckles at myself as I looked over my diary, even just from this year. So um, I found that the practice of writing um, my life be to be a way of really attending to the self. And I agree with that quote that uh, sometimes I don't know what's happening
Mhm.
inside until I put the pen to paper. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for
Mm-hmm.
sharing. You know, I love what you did, and I like to call that one, I have two ways of saying it. I like to call that harvesting, right? Like when you go back and you pull out all these things that has happened in the diary, because you're harvesting your life, right? You write
Mm-hmm.
it down, and sometimes you don't remember until you go back and you read it. Am I at the same place? Have I moved forward? Am I still dealing with this? And if it's written down, you can't forget it,
Yeah.
which means it's like a memorial stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know when I decided the memorial stone. I think it was probably reading scripture with the 12 memorial stones, and you go back. And I was like, yeah, that's what happens when we really write it down. And honestly, some people hate writing in a journal. They're just like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I can talk it out. And I often think about those people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who can talk it out. Do you know why? Because you can miss some things, right? And so I imagine that when you go back and reread it, you take little notes, and say, oh, this is where I am now, right? Like you could write that in the margin with a new date,
Mm-hmm.
right? Underline or circle things that just keep, that's a great way to check out your patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what you did was amazing to go away, to be quiet, to have your journal, and to then intentionally go back. And sometimes the going back can be 7 days, 7 months, a year, but whenever, right? Because I was doing a webinar, and so one of the questions was, can it be traumatic when you go back?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the moment when you know you need a spiritual director or a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that there's going to be trauma going back, you shouldn't go back by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important
Mm-hmm.
because the journal is self reflection, it's stress management, right? Um, it's goal tracking. But if you're honest, right, there's going to be some movement, hate, anger, rage, it's going to come, it's going to be in there, right? And that's why I say if you're honest, doesn't, if you keep a journal and you're not honest, why bother, right? But if
Why
you're
bother?
honest, oh my goodness, it changes the dynamics. Yeah. So that is the thing I love. And I say that with
Yes.
1 year worth of diaries stacked up, going like this. I'm gonna go back and read them, but I'm honest, I'm a little bit afraid.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? I'm a little bit afraid. I did it once
Yeah.
before, and I kept finding I was stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I was like, so I'll do that, and I'll have a separate journal, and I'll read, and then I'll write. Oh, look what I see. You know what I mean? Make
Mm-hmm.
my own patterns. And I look what I see, and I'll write it down so then I could see. And I'm telling you, I literally, for at least 9 months, was complaining about the same thing over and over and over again.
There it
Right.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I was like, wow, we need to stop that. Something needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was good because then that became my own self reflection and reflecting on where I was. And then what it does is it always shows you the goodness and the grace, right? Because I could go back and read those complaints and think, look what God did, though. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Look how he kept me through all of that.
Mhm.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, it
So
could.
that's why I say it's like a memorial stone. Like where you were then and where you are now.
My goodness, my brain is on fire with just all these connections. One of the things I'm thinking of is the, as you're talking, is the important practice of remembrance, of consolidation, of integration, your word harvest, right?
Yeah.
And I think in a cultural landscape where some of the pressure is always to the next thing, to do the next thing, to consume, to acquire, to what else, what new experience can I have? What new thing can I acquire? More, 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 num, 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 num. The practice of pausing and surveying the path we've already walked, it feels like a resistance to that, where it's like a savoring, and not just savoring too, right? It can be a little or challenging, because where you saw
Mm-hmm.
you had the theme for 9 months, and it's like, oh, I see this theme for 9 months. Okay, I need to change it. So not just savoring, but uh, sobering too, to say, okay, I can see this happening. What am I going to do to to adjust things? I can continue as business as usual, or I can change some things. So I'm feeling the counter, um, like the subversive wisdom in pausing and journaling and reflecting in an atmosphere where I feel like we are pressured to acquire, to consume, right? To gather more and more. What you seem to be saying in the journaling, one of the things appears to be, um, noticing what is already, what we already have, what we've already experienced. Um, yeah.
Absolutely. Well said. Exactly.
Hmm.
Because sometimes you're right, we miss it.
Yeah.
We miss it.
Yeah, I miss it. I miss it. I
Absolutely.
usually miss it the first time through. It's only until I journal that I'm like, I'm telling you, I miss my days so much. I'll miss it, and then it's the next day I'm journaling, like, oh, oh, there was the gift. Oh, there was that moment. There it is. I feel like I'm about 24 hours late for everything.
Everything.
I'll miss it the first time, and then when I journal, I can go back and like, oh yeah, that was a beautiful moment, or yeah, that was a mistake.
Right.
Yeah,
It's almost like a camera,
yeah.
right? Like, when you have a camera and you look through the lens, you don't just click, click, you wait until the moment and then you capture it. So when you begin to write it, even if it's 24-hour later, you have to go back, you have to slow down
Mhm.
and be in that space and then just begin to write. And I think what happens when we journal, it's a stream of consciousness, right? You just go, right? You just let yourself go. You be free, right? You don't worry about punctuation and spelling, and you're just free. Sometimes it's just words and phrases and doodles. And that first moment is like that beta moment, right? Where maybe it's your alpha moment. That first moment is just like that brainwave where you're entering, you're dumping your stress. Oh, look at this. And then the longer you're there, that becomes the beta moment. And
Mm.
you're like, oh, and you can then realize, right? Like you said, you're capturing, oh, yeah, this is it. This is it. And then that brain keeps moving, and they call that like the theta moment. Boom, your brain wave. And you're just like in this zone
Mhm.
where you keep going.
Mhm.
Right? And I know sometimes it's hard. So I'm like this. Maybe it's only 5 minutes you need, especially if you've never done it before. And set a timer, right, for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
whenever I start group sessions, I put up a screen that's called the emptying exercise, right? And we're going to empty for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, which means just write whatever is on your heart. Even on one-on-ones in spiritual direction, I'll do the same thing because sometimes the directee is coming and they have so much on their mind, they're gonna just throw up, right? And so I discovered, let's take this first 5 minutes we have together and let them put it all out and
Mm,
just put it on the page. And most times, you know what they say? Wow, that was good. I didn't realize
that's right.
what I was carrying. And
Mm,
then we have this beautiful session.
mm,
And so, for those who don't journal, if you figure out that it's hard, set your timer for 5 minutes, right? Um, then maybe the next week or two, push yourself to 10 minutes or just fill a page. You can get a journal, and I just happen to have this here because I was at a conference and this little notebook was there, so I took it, right? So, see this size?
mhm.
This isn't intimidating. These pages aren't intimidating. Maybe you just want to fill one page, fill it, put it down, right? Or get a longer page. Now, Julia Cameron's Artist Way, she has the morning pages. I think it was last year. Now, I did the morning pages when it first came out, way back in the 90s. And then I redid it last year.
Mm.
Um, and then she was, she had a webinar. So imagine, here she is, I think she's about 90, 80 or 90. And she's now talking about it, and I'm listening. I have broken this rule 100 times. She says, no matter what, the page should be 8.5 by 11. I'm like, mm-mm, I'm not doing 8.5 by 11. I used to do that when I first started doing it. I
No
was like, oh
matter
no.
what.
And she was so serious. She's like,
Yeah.
three, like one, two, three, three, 8.5, just one, two, three, like the first side, the second
Wow.
side,
Yeah.
three. I was like, that's a lot of
Yeah.
pages. And I feel like every morning I wake up, I say, oh, I'm going to go to the 8.5 by 11, but I'm not being honest with myself. Right. So I'm not doing that, but I'll stick to the 3 pages no matter what size the notebook.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, so
yeah.
start small, no pressure to go the 8.5 by 11 with Julia Cameron. Yeah. What about Bob? Baby steps, baby pages, 5 minutes if you can.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
I know there's so much more. I have like so many things that are coming to mind as you're talking about
Okay.
journaling. But for now,
Um,
this feels like a good stopping spot. So thank you so much, Angela, for this introductory conversation on diary on journaling.
oh,
Be
you're
well.
so very welcome. Be well.